So since we kind of already covered like what changed from our previous rankings, guys, and we got through my pettiness, but it's not done. Trust me, it's going to last a long time.
You were the chosen one.
Always hold on to small.
Avengers,
assemble.
Let's get into what are some of the reactions we have from each other's rankings. Michael, I saw you kind of struggling over there, maybe having a small stroke. So let's start with you.
Well, I mean, where do you start, man? I mean, for me, it was Lamont putting Holiday Special above anything at all, and then
I'm with you.
And then after that, it was it was Empire and A New Hope down at what was it, 8 and 9?
8 and 7. Well, New Hope was 8, Empire is 7, Return of the Jedi 6. And Return of the Jedi was my number 2.
Yeah, I remember that. So that was shocking to me as well. So, but I was also surprised that you brought The Rise of Skywalker down, which was interesting. Curry, I remember for you, you told me that this past viewing of The Last Jedi was better for you. So that made me happy. So I was expecting it to go up a little bit. I was hoping for more than one spot.
Yeah.
But I'm also surprised
trash can only go so high, bro.
That's why you are where you are, Lamont. I'm just kidding.
Bro, the right kind of trash goes all the way to the surface, man.
Oh, that's true. It floats.
Yeah,
and that's not a good thing, though.
But also the right kind of trash sinks all the way to the bottom, whatever you need to do.
What are we talking about right now?
I don't know.
The Holiday Special is the trash that is the soda can that kills the fish. And you have it above something at all.
The Last Jedi kills fish. Like Snoke.
So why do you have it above the Holiday Special?
I'm going to be you want to talk about The Last Jedi? I was struggling. I was going to put it at number 3. Or number 3. Sorry, I was going to put it with 3 stars. 3 stars. Oh. The Last Jedi. I can defend it better than I think a lot of its fans.
No, you can.
I've taken the time to deep dive, even looking at the Last Jedi comic book, to try to get myself to like that film. I wish I can like The Last Jedi. I just don't. But I can defend it better than most of its fans can. Themes, what Rian Johnson was going for, Luke's arc, Finn's arc, what they learned on Canto Bight. I can argue it so well, people would think that I love the film. So unlike a lot of other fans who might say, well, it's an objectively bad movie. Man, miss me with that. It's not objectively bad. It's beautifully shot. It's great direction and editing. Let's just keep it real. It's not that Rian Johnson doesn't know Star Wars. I just don't like the choices that he made. So I can distinguish that there's a distinction in my mind of it's not objective, but it's actually very, very well made and shot.
And that's why I love talking to you about.
I just don't like the choices, but just because I don't like the choices subjectively doesn't mean that it's objectively bad. Just because I don't like the way that the storyteller told the story doesn't make it bad. It just means it's not for me. So I know how to dialogue with this conversation in a way that's, hey, I get what he's going for. I can argue it. I even see some merit to it. He was the only one that was willing to take the lessons of the prequels and bring it in an organic way, not a somehow Palpatine returned out of nowhere, even though I like that. But still, let's keep it real. It was out of left field. Johnson actually took the prequels, wasn't afraid of them like Abrams was, took them, took the lessons, especially Luke's second lesson, my goodness, and then uses it as a thematic marker and pillar of the movie. And if you want to know why Rey's New Jedi Order is going to be better than the old, The Last Jedi is the film you really need to look at.
Man,
this movie, and a little bit of The Rise of Skywalker at the end when he talks to her on Octu again as the Force goes. But the central film, if you want to know why Rey's New Jedi Order is going to be better, you have to understand and look at The Last Jedi.
All right, Lamont, what surprised you from me and Michael's takes?
I'm going to be honest, nothing. Because all your takes, seriously, were not they weren't too surprising. Like putting Empire above Return, even for me, I struggled because Empire feels stronger, but I just like the happier ending of Return of the Jedi, and I don't have any issues with it. So you making that change was fine. I think Empire. Most people like Empire more than Return, but so that wasn't big for Michael. There really wasn't anything in yours that really struck me as like super surprising.
I thought it might have surprised you that I put Attack of the Clones above the Phantom Menace.
Personally, no, because I think Attack of the Clones is a stronger movie. Personally,
but you know how I've always.
I do know how you feel, but I also know, again, Attack and the Phantom Menace are usually people's last place choices, and they're usually interchangeable. So I'm used to people putting either Phantom above Attack or Attack. So again, now if you had said Attack was above The Last Jedi or A New Hope, that would be different.
I would have fainted. That would have
been different. That would have right. So
I would have too.
so, yeah. So for me personally, I just don't think it was. I don't think there was anything too surprising. I actually liked your guys' rankings. The Last Jedi should be closer to the holiday special for Michael, but sometimes you just gotta pray. Sometimes you gotta let go and let God, as they say. You know what I mean? You gotta just and say, God, just like you opened our hearts to Christ, may you open up his heart to how horrible The Last Jedi was. And you gotta let God do him.
I don't even know what to say.
On that
Jesus
note,
juking me. All right.
So for me, what surprised me about Michael's was, I think, not only seeing, I can kind of understand Phantom Menace dropping like a little bit. I don't think it dropped much for you, but
not much.
But Attack of the Clones going from 2.5, I think you had it, or 2 to 2.5 to 3.5 stars.
Yeah.
Like that is so much vindication for me, given how much, we have talked and argued like dozens and dozens of hours about these movies. And and like, dude, I love both of y'all's rankings, but like in like agreeing with what I think, it's like, you look for your bias within someone else's ranking. I was happy to see Michael bump The Force Awakens down a little bit and like hearing how you've talked about it. But given how you defend it so much, I still was thinking it was going to be higher than it was. So I was kind of like, okay, that surprised me.
In my defense there, that movie is, number one, still higher than the 2 prequels there.
Right.
It's still higher than those. But it also, that movie is one of the what is it, the 7 through 9 or 10 section daily fluctuates. It's literally like there is a portion there. Like sometimes The Force Awakens has been all the way down at 9 or 10. It just depends on I love it. From 10 on, I love them. Right,
Michael. But, I'm gonna go with you right there. For me, I think numbers 1 through 4 are pretty set. All 3 prequels, I just love. I have a nostalgia. I think they're great stories. I just love the prequels. Rogue One is gonna stay there. But from 5 through, I would say 8, those 4, the middle, can change based upon my mood, what's coming out, because even though people say it shouldn't, for me, when I read extra canon material that fleshes out or builds up that worldview or that world, it does make the movies better for me. So like Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker continues to get stronger, even though it dropped, because of things like Mandalorian, Bad Batch, Bloodline, The Rise of Kylo Ren, stuff like that. So 5 through 8 can change depending on it, but 1 through 4 are pretty set for me.
Yeah. And Michael, I think I'm not surprised Last Jedi stayed at number 2, but I think when you like briefly bumped it down to like 4.5, when I read that from you, I was like, he's lying to himself. That's a 5-star movie for him.
Well, so yeah, and here's what the having to do star rankings for all of these, including those dreadful Ewok and holiday special movies at the beginning, absolutely inflated, I think, some of my stars, including Attack of the Clones, because I think if it was just the theatrical releases, because I don't think the other 3 are theatrical, right? But anyway, if it was just the main movies and the Clone Wars movie, I think probably Attack of the Clones would have stayed at 4.5. Or I mean, I'm sorry. Wow, no, would have stayed at probably been. I would have bumped it up to 3. I would have bumped it up to 3 because I did genuinely enjoy it more this time, and I was bugged by the Phantom Menace more this time than I at the end, the third act. But The Last Jedi, it's one of those, and it's the same with Return of the Jedi. Last Jedi and Return of the Jedi are like, to me, they are everything that I want in Star Wars, even though I recognize that there are a few things about them that aren't right, that aren't great. And so like I have them as 5 stars because of my enjoyment and love for them. But their Empire Strikes Back is the only one that I would say I actually think that's a perfect movie. Like, I actually really do. And so like, but yeah, so that's kind of why I bumped it back up to 5, because I was just looking at the distance from some of the other ones. And I was like, no, it's not right. I need to get it back up to 5.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure if like maybe because I know like Return of the Jedi was close for you to the top for a while, and like you kind of struggle there like I do with it. So that's good though. I think it's very apt for both of you. For me, just kind of responding to some of what you guys said on mine. For Return and Empire, that's one of those that's a daily fluctuation. It was like that when I was a kid. I think Return of the Jedi has moments that are higher highs than Empire.
Yes, agreed.
But like seeing it in the theater confirmed several things for me. One, it was the trash special edition, so that hurt it a little bit. I'm just kidding. But no, but for real, there was several people in the theater who were like, ugh, when it wasn't Yub Nub. And I was like, I feel so validated. Funniest part was when the credits rolled, some guy went, and somehow Palpatine returned. It was so funny. But watching on the big screen, it's still a 5-star movie for me, but I definitely felt some more of the rough around the edges moments.
Yes.
More so than I had before. Whereas when I was watching Empire at home, like I was just reminded about how intentional everything about it is. And honestly, like if you strip away everything but the original trilogy, like which film outside of like A New Hope, like A New Hope does so much for a new world and like in what it does. And then Empire expands a lot in every such way.
Yes.
Return of the Jedi doesn't do as much of that. I still think it's a fantastic trilogy ender, but that's kind of why. But I also tomorrow could be like, no, Return of the Jedi is better. It just depends on the day.
Right.
But also,
yeah, go ahead, keep going. I just want to say I agree with you. Watching it in theaters definitely made me realize it solidified that it wasn't my number 2 anymore.
Yeah,
I loved it, but I walked out saying, if I'm going to be honest with myself, it's not number 2.
Yeah, and same. And I think the other big, surprise y'all had was the Ewok movies. And I probably should have put a disclaimer before I said this. Y'all watched them for the first time as adults. I grew up with them. So I do think there is a bit of a nostalgia factor, especially with the second
one. That's a full star right there. That's worth a full star right there.
Yeah.
But I also
kids
I also think y'all have them rated entirely too low because there is so much to love about those movies.
Me and Hoover were with you with the nostalgia. We were willing to give you that because you grew up with them. But don't be trying to tell us that it's too low on ours. No,
nope,
it's not.
Nope. And here's why. Lucasfilm, there is an undeniable Star Wars magic to those movies in the production design, in the practical effects, and things actually making sense.
No, I agree. That's why I gave them 1 star.
Bruh. And honestly though, Michael, this is for you. I'll get to Lamont in a minute. But Michael, if Holiday Special is a half star, there's got to be a full star separation for the Ewok movies at least. Because
the only reason, well,
I'm kidding, of course, but
so here's the thing though, like I don't even know, I didn't even try this on Letterboxd. Can you go down to 0 stars?
No.
Because that's what I would have done. Yeah. So Holiday Special should be a 0 star, really. So if it could go, it would be a full star difference.
Yeah. On that note,
I'm not even kidding.
But those elements. And I actually really do love a lot about the second Ewok movie. Of course, that they have their criticisms. I have a lot to defend in those. That can be a whole separate video if it needed to be. But Lamont, I have to ask you, dude, what puts the Holiday Special not in last place? I got to know.
I'm going to actually be honest with you, man. The Boba Fett cartoon was pretty dope.
I'll give you that.
Boba Fett.
That part is good.
So I actually liked in the Holiday Special the thread of the Empire. Like even in the Holiday Special, you still feel the threat of the Empire.
Yeah,
coming in, looking. So for me, I like that. I like when the good guys are being hunted down, or it's this oppressive government, and they're trying to overthrow it. So I actually really like that.
Mm.
And I also like the Battle of Endor that they killed the brother, the mom, and the dad.
Yeah.
And only little, So for me, I kind of like that dark aspect to it. So the holiday special, if I just focused on that, it was actually like, all right, let's see what they're gonna do when the Empire comes. They're stationing people. So for me, that was good enough to get. You know what? I can respect. I can be cool with that.
I also like. There's a lot of fan edits of the holiday special out there, and I even said in my little review I wrote that if you edit out all the wackiness and it's just Han getting, like, it opens with the cartoon and then it's just Han getting Chewie to the planet, it's still not great, but it has that like really cheesy TV special quality to it, to where maybe it could be like a fun time, but it's surrounded by all such weirdness. It's very hard to get through. At least
Could not believe what I was watching.
Yeah.
Grandpa, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Hey! I don't want to say anything, bro. But literally, my kids are like looking at me like this. I'm like, hey, close your eyes and go. Actually, just go in your room. And I called Jen. I was like, hey, man, you need to come out here. She's like, what? I'm like, girls, the holiday special. Come out here now. She's like, I don't want to. I'm like, trust me, you need to see this part. You need to see this part. And she sat there and she was like, what am I watching? I was like, I don't know.
This is Star Wars.
And I was like, George Lucas, what made you think this was a good idea?
I don't think it was him. I think somebody got the broadcast rights and like he kind of let it happen.
Yeah.
But he also tried to erase it from existence. So
good.
Yeah.
Hey, you need to Thanos that. You know what I mean? To snap fingers in. But yeah, I want to ask a question though, because Michael, you looked. And yeah, Kurt, you look shocked when I said Rise of Skywalker was number 9.
You've loved it for so long. You've defended it, to the death, and I think you probably still do to a degree. But
no, I still love it. I still love it.
Yeah. And
I would say if I had to give it an official rating, I really like it. But there are so many things in it that I love to this day, and I still defend it. It's still at 3.5 stars. The reason why I dropped it though is because Return of the Jedi. And this is my issue with the entire sequel trilogy, which I will say, even though I have plenty of blame for Rian Johnson and what he did, it was JJ who started the trilogy off this way, ended it this way. So he reset the chessboard. We were back at A New Hope again, Rebel versus Empire, no Jedi again, even though Episode 6 is Return of the Jedi. And then in Episode 9, we're back to one last Jedi that has to rebuild the order. So for me, part of my standards in judging these films were, do I have issues with them? 1 through 8 and number 11, the Clone Wars movie, I had no issues with.
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker, I had issues. Number 1, this is the legacy of Anakin Skywalker. There should have been something there. I don't like how Palpatine throws Ben Solo off the cliff and it's just Rey defeating him. It should have been the Dyad, Power of the Dyad, defeating him together.
Bro, it was all the Jedi defeating him.
So,
anyway.
like I was saying, Ben Solo should have been. And then if I'm Ben Solo, I'm feeling some kind of way. Rey's been a Jedi for like a year. I've been trained, and you guys are all going to talk to her, but not me. I had issues with Rise of Skywalker. I still love it. I actually think Palpatine's return works well with the Chosen One prophecy. I don't think this ruins Anakin's sacrifice or Chosen One status, but I do have issues with the film. There are things I wouldn't have done. Enough issues where it can't be in my top 3 in good conscience. So I can put it at number 9. And the way that I looked at it too is that I really liked is that there's the bottom 5, the middle 5, and the top 5. And it's in the middle 5. So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. But Rise of Skywalker, if I'm going to be honest, they have to drop to number 9.
So, Lamont, to answer your question, like that you asked about it directly, it makes sense to me because it's what I call the sequel trilogy effect. The further we get away from them, the more people who, like, maybe with some exceptions like Michael and The Last Jedi, the more like that people love them are even being like, yeah, I see the issues now, like that cause. I still love them, but like the sequels, for me especially, like, and for you, I think you kind of see the issues more over time the further we are from them. But secondly,
they're frustrating.
Yeah, they're fun but frustrating. But the prequel trilogy being your top 3 makes perfect sense. I think that's right in line with who you are. I wish the originals were higher in yours, but I think with your nuance that you added, it makes perfect sense. And like,
And again, they're all 5 stars. Yeah. I love the original trilogy films. I love them. I have no issues with any of them.
Right.
I grew up in the prequels. I love the prequels. It's what made me a Star Wars fan.
And the stuff
with Anakin and his journey. Like I love watching that.
Right. And the stuff you have above them, it's not like they're bad movies. So it's like, you know, and I think it's an easier pill to swallow now that Rise of Skywalker's rightfully below the original. Before it's like, this fool put A New Hope at number 9 and put Rise of Skywalker at 3. So and like I told y'all too, it kind of like, and Michael, I think you asked earlier and I missed it. The Ewok movies were TV films, but in like Germany, like somewhere in other places internationally, they were theatrically released.
Oh, interesting.
The only one that wasn't was the holiday special.
Gotcha.
But I'm sure there's been some kind of fan screening, so I'm going to count it anyway. But you know,
gosh, what a weird screening to go to.
But having those in, one, I think I haven't seen anybody else really include them in their ranking, especially here on this platform. So including those in makes it easier to be like, oh, you know, now Rise of Skywalker doesn't have to go at the bottom for some of us. Or, you know, it's for Lamont, I know is like really helpful. And for me, it's like when you look at it on Letterboxd, it's like, okay, you have your bottom row. And like when a film you love is on that bottom row, it's like, oh, that just hurts. But it helps. It helps visually. And I think that's important. But honestly, guys, I think this is a great thing. I think Lamont and I are going to revisit our Star Wars rankings maybe yearly, maybe not a new video every time, but, you know, as new movies and stuff come out, that if, you know, fingers crossed that we actually get them.
Please.
Can I say one thing really quick?
No.
Yes.
I was rushing through it earlier, but I did want to say on this time, I did want to give Rogue One a special shout out because I've always really liked it. When it first came out, I liked it, but the last couple of times I saw it in the theater when they re-released it for, you know, to kind of promote Andor. They re-released it in the theaters, and our good friend Josh and I went and saw it together, and it was really fun, and it was just an unbelievable experience. I was like, that was way better than I remembered. And then this past time rewatching all the movies and watching that one going into A New Hope, it was an amazing experience. Like, I adore this movie, and it really did. Like, I was like talking to Lamont on the phone earlier, and I was like I was literally contemplating, like, is this movie in my top 5? Like, I was thinking about it until just a couple hours ago. Like, should this pass Revenge of the Sith? And so I just wanted to say, I love that movie. It's so good. And I didn't get to really talk about that earlier, but yeah.
No, you're good. Yeah, it bumped up for me too. It went from 4.5 to 5 stars, and I love it as well. I know Lamont loves it. Yeah. And something I want to know, and I think I can safely speak for Lamont here as well. And Lamont, correct me if I'm wrong, of course. You know, for those of you listening that think like, you know, Michael's got the best ranking or whatever because he's Empire at number 1. Well, okay, that's a solid position to have. And why we have Revenge of the Sith at number 1. To me, Revenge of the Sith is the only film in the Star Wars saga that can compete with the Luke, I am your father twist. It is the only one with the emotional powerhouse of those original trilogy movies. Yeah. And I was talking to my brother after coming home from the Return of the Jedi 40th celebration, and each generation since Star Wars has come out has had their own Empire Strikes Back moment. You have the original trilogy, is Luke, I am your father, the Empire Strikes Back moment. For the prequels, the Empire Strikes Back of that generation growing up, which was like, you know, us in a lot of ways, is Revenge of the Sith, Order 66, right? It's that emotion, like just how crazy resonant it gets me every time. It hits so hard. And then this generation, we don't really have that as much with the sequel trilogy. Like, even if you love The Last Jedi, real quick, even with The Last Jedi, it's like we don't really have that defining genre moment from Star Wars in sci-fi. Honestly, the Empire Strikes Back of this generation is Infinity War from Marvel. Let's be honest. So that's kind of where I'm at. And so with that, and I know Revenge of the Sith has its like things that aren't perfect. I would argue Empire does too. That's why I am able to put it over it, because it did so much for me as a child, and it still does so much for me as an adult. And Star Wars is still mining so many stories from just that film's events alone.
Yeah. And one thing I'll say, I want to give a shout out to actually Attack of the Clones. I know people are like, you know, it's the worst one. I remember going to Star Wars Celebration last year in Anaheim with Eli, and I'm in the line, for the Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary panel, which is the one that Ashley Eckstein, who voices Ahsoka, she was hosting, and that's when they brought out Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, and it was amazing. It was just so cool being in there with everyone. I remember talking to a few people online, and we were talking about how we grew up with the prequels and how so many people said they hated Attack of the Clones, and I'm like, yeah, people would kind of get on me for liking it so much. And he goes, oh yeah, me too. But look at all these fans. We all love Attack of the Clones. So
yep.
Attack of the Clones is loved, beloved, cherished. A lot of people who grew up with it, like I did, just have it has a special place in our hearts. So
yep,
for all you Attack of the Clones babies out there, man, rise up, homie. Hey, and we appreciate you guys once again rocking with us, Nerd City Central. Like, share, subscribe, hit up A Certain Point of View, their podcast, Twitter. We have our Twitter handles on here. Follow us, say what up. Put your ranking at the bottom. And I wanted to surprise y'all and also surprise my co-host and our friend, because all three of us are going to be back. Our top 10 favorite Star Wars characters of all time.
We're doing this?
Both canon or legends. It can be one of each. It can be one. It can be both, whatever. But we're going to do our top 10 favorite Star Wars characters of all time. Michael Curry, prepare yourself. If you thought this was hard, wait till you have to narrow down 10 characters. 10 characters.
No, once you get past 3 characters, I'm like.
Hey, well,
that'll be awesome. But wait, there's more.
Oh,
sometime this summer or this year, let's say, we are also going to be doing a video. And Michael, you're welcome to come back for this too. Is what is your Star Wars headcanon? What are some things that maybe aren't explicitly canon anymore that you can add in, or what are some things that you elect to ignore and you replace with? It's something we've talked about for a long time. Headcanon in Star Wars, coming to you soon. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it so much. We love you guys. We love Star Wars. Peace out, y'all. We're so happy you joined us today. Michael, thank you so much for coming.
Man.
This is Nerd City Central, where Lamont's trash taste becomes our treasure and Curry is always right.
You were the chosen one!
Always hold on to small.
Avengers,
Assemble.